Okay, hello and welcome back to the Brave podcast, Doing Travel Differently. My name's Faye, your host, and today I'm very excited to welcome our special guest, Kirsty Hopper, who is a dear friend of mine. And we're going to do something a little bit different today. I've been really excited about recording this episode, which is obviously a video episode and audio episode as well. We, often talk about ethical, authentic, immersive travel in theory, and using examples, from around the world, from our brave advocates, looking at it from a practitioner point of view and a business point of view. But today, I wanted to bring these ideas to life through the voice of someone who lives them every time she travels. And so I am delighted to be joined by Kirsty, who's a dear friend of mine. She's an educator, she's a mother, she's a travel enthusiast, and she's one, in my opinion, of the most creative, practical, brave travel planners I know. In fact, I'm in awe of the things that she does within the budget and the constraints that she works in. She has a gift for designing deeply immersive, responsible and educational travel experiences for her family, before she had a family, for her and whoever she was traveling with, whilst remaining within remarkably tight budgetary constraints. And what I love most is her approach, and she takes the approach of curiosity over perfection, authenticity over convenience, and courage over a comfort zone. She's got this unique ability to get off the beaten track, and even with two young children in tow. And she always does so with a lot of thoughtfulness, respect, and a deep awareness of her impact as a traveller. And I know many families wonder if responsible travel is possible. Oh, we got cats too. That's amazing. I know a lot of families wonder if responsible travel is possible with children, or if travel on a budget can still be meaningful and can still be responsible. So for her, I think the answer is a clear and resounding yes. So we're going to explore today a little bit about her philosophy, her planning process, the joys and challenges that she encounters, the way that travel shapes her and her children's understanding of the world. So let's get stuck in. And do you want to make the introductions to our little furry friend as well?
Mickey, he doesn't get to come on the holidays, but he likes to sit and plan.
and actually sitting at my feet now is one of mine as well, so it's probably everyone's welcome in this episode today. So I'm going to start the ball rolling, Kirst, with just a little bit on, what does travel mean for you? What's important about travel? And
for me personally, it's getting out and seeing the world. The world's a big place, and being an educator as well, it's just getting to learn how people live, how other people go about everybody's the same. They've all got the same daily struggles, but depending on where they are in the world, how they approach them, everything's different. I find it really interesting learning about different cultures. In particular for me, I've got a big focus on, I like seeing animals around the world and how animals live. That's my main thing for traveling. Whereas my partner, he likes the more cultural aspects. He likes the architecture and the buildings. So it's just getting out there and seeing what the world has to offer, really.
For sure, absolutely. And, thinking about how your travel practices or habits have changed since you became a mother, and obviously, the benefits of travel. What do you see as being the benefits of travel for kids and for families?
For my two in particular, it's just how to interact with other people. People of different faiths, people from different cultures, people with different backgrounds. Again, it's teaching them that you should be acceptable with what's outside your normal bubble. That there's a lot out there to explore, and you should be pushing to explore that. You shouldn't just be pigeonholed into your one little corner of the world.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that, you as an educator, always will see that side and that value of travel, the education it provides outside of the classroom?
For me, yeah, I think I would, because there's only so much that being in the classroom can actually teach you, but actually going to these places And actually, for example, I teach year 3, so we learn about the Romans and about the ancient Egyptians. But actually going to Rome and seeing how the Romans actually lived, seeing the architecture there, seeing the things that they actually developed, and putting it into, it almost puts it into a real life context for the kids. Because it's one thing learning about it, seeing it on a screen, but actually seeing it in real life, it brings it to life for them, and it makes it real to them. It's not just something that they've got to learn about, it's something they can actually experience as well.
Yeah, so it's more, you know, immersive and more authentic, more real. Yeah, I mean, and this is something I've noticed, you know, in the type of trips that you design. There's very much a nature-based element to it, very much wildlife inspired interest. You know, you've got a trip forthcoming to Costa Rica that you're planning. Do you want to maybe just talk about your process? Is there like a defined process that you go through? What inspires you to choose a particular place? How do you search? How do you plan? What resources do you use? Do you want to just talk that through?
So last holiday we went to Borneo, and that was basically because we've got a love of animals. We wanted to go and do the river tours. We wanted to see orangutans in their natural habitat. And that actually came about from a project that I was doing with my year 3s, where we were learning about the rainforest, and we were actually doing a bit of fundraising for the orangutan sanctuary there. So I thought, right, I'll look into this. So that's how that holiday came about. The one to Costa Rica, from the Borneo holiday, Jack, my boy, he was really into turtles. That was his greatest thing. So we thought, where else in the world can we go to see turtles in their natural habitat? So we thought, Costa Rica. So originally, we were actually looking at Brazil. And that's because the way I plan a holiday is it tends to be, for me personally, there's got to be some sort of natural element to it. So I'm all about rainforests, rivers, what natural habitats you can find, animals in their homes. So I've gone off on a tangent with that one. So for me, originally, we were looking at Brazil. And that was because Skyscanner came up with a really cheap flight. And that's how I plan all my holidays. I'll type in my dates, see what's available, and then I'll go from there. That, unfortunately, I dithered on it for a bit. So those cheap flights went. Next cheapest flight was Costa Rica. So I thought, right, we'll head here instead. So my process tends to be first is looking for the flights. Where can we get the cheapest flights to the furthest destinations? Because as well as having children, being a teacher as well, I'm restricted to half terms. And trying to get flights that fit, that aren't astronomical compared to the rest of the year, it's hard work. It can be done, but it does need a bit of research. So I usually tend to plan about a year in advance. So I try and find my flight first, and then from that, I'll research. So Facebook groups have been a godsend for all the trips that I've done, particularly as well. We went to Lapland last year, and for that, it was just researching where do other people go to find the best deals? Where do they go to find the best prices? But not just that, where do they go to source locals who offer the best experiences? Because from what I found, it's, for me personally, going with the people who live there, who know the places to take you, that's been invaluable. So although you've got 1,000,001 tour companies you could go with that have got the 5-star ratings, but for me, it's using the locals who know the insider tracks, who know where to take you, those hidden little gems that they can take you to. So I love scouring through the Facebook groups to get those people, to get the independent tour guides, to get the tour operators who, when you're there, they're the ones that can take you to the bits that you would miss if you were on that tourist path, if you were on that like train of, like, we've had this conversation before about, for example, cruise ships that come on, you get dropped off, you've only got that certain amount of time, then you have to get back on and go. But when you're using the local guides, they can take a bit more time with you. They can take you to those little places that if you were with a big group, you would miss. So use it. I found Facebook groups brilliant for finding those people, finding who to go with. And then from that, it is just planning whereabouts we want to go, what do we want to do, what do we want to see? But particularly for my two as well, with Jack being autistic too, we need to always factor in a bit of dim time too. So it's trying to get that fine line between doing all the activities, but also just being. And that, I've got to say, was probably one of the best things we did in Borneo. Was we went on an independent little tour to Seligman Turtle Island. And it was just a day of being on this little island there was no transport on the island. So you're just on the island, chilling on the beach all day. And then at night time, 9 o'clock, you go and see the turtles lay their eggs. And that was the highlight of that holiday. And that's what the children still talk about now. And that, I wouldn't have found out about that place if I wasn't on the Facebook groups finding out about them. So definitely the way to go is Skyscanner for your flights. Once you've got a destination, Facebook groups to research and find the places you want to go and who you want to work with.
I mean, you get great, I know you get great joy out of this, and the amount of time you must invest in, I mean, do you even tot it up? Do you even tot up how much time you spend planning a trip? Because obviously for some people that isn't viable.
Oh, it could be. And it's the way I do it as well. I can go through chunks of time where I'll spend every night for a couple of weeks doing something, and then I'll not look at it for a couple of months. And then again, it'll be, let's do the next little bit. Because it's paying it up as you go as well. It's trying to afford it all, because I don't pay it all in one go. It is just doing little bits and pieces. So for example, the Costa Rica holiday we're going on, I've only just booked 3 of the main areas we're visiting, but I've not booked the hotel to go out there yet, or the one to come back. So I'm still in the planning stages of where we're going and what we're doing. But I feel like you can do that with holidays like this, because your plans might change. You might see something on these groups and think, oh, well, actually, I don't want to go to that particular area. Maybe we should try this area. So it doesn't all have to be done in one go either, which is what I'm finding. And that just makes it more adaptable.
And you can work within a budget. Then you get your framework first, you get your flights booked first. That then fixes the fact that you're going there, you know what the bulk of the cost is going to be, and then, you know, as per your budget allows, you can start to build, you know, flesh that out. And I think it's I think that's the benefit that tailor making something gives you, you know. And I mean, you love this, you get great joy from it, and I hasten to say that this is a hobby, and something that you really, you know, I mean, you should do this professionally, because you know, you're absolutely brilliant at it. I don't know anyone else that you know, that does what you do. But yeah, I sort of, you know, if other people are hearing this and they're thinking, well, I don't necessarily have the time to commit to this, or the skills or the knowledge, I think you're giving some very practical tips on the resources that you go to. But similarly, you could then lean upon an agent to, you know, to help you do that, as, you know, if you could communicate your vision to them. But because tailor making is definitely, you know, the way to make sure that you're getting something personalized that suits the needs of you and your traveling party. Responsibility, this whole notion of responsibility and sustainability and ethical practice really, you know, comes through in the practical things that you do when you travel. But is it something that you're consciously aware of? You know, what does responsible travel mean to you? Do you define it, or how do you understand it to be?
For me personally, like I said, we like more nature-based holidays and adventures. So for me, sustainability, it's more about going to the places where, you know, animals are treated well. That we've got the guidance in the UK for how animals are treated, but in other countries that isn't always there. It's not the same level as it is here, and it's being aware of that and what you're actually signing up for. And again, that's where I think getting the local people who know the different areas and putting across to them what it is you'd like, it's that fine line of knowing what is acceptable to you personally, whereas although that's acceptable in those other countries, it might not fit in. And that's the bit that I find tricky sometimes.
That's what I was going to ask you about, sort of
Yeah.
you have a desire to, do things differently, to do things responsibly. And I think some of the things that you just said really, really point to the fact that you are conscious. As a traveler, you have a state of consciousness and empathy and sensitivity. It's not necessarily knowing all the answers. You don't know the answers, because the problem is in a lack of information coming your way as a prospective visitor, which is an issue that the industry needs to grapple with. But as a responsible traveler, as a brave traveler, because that's why I wanted you to speak on this show, because the brave and the brave advocates is not just industry. This is academic community, these are travelers, these are people, and I wanted to use you as to showcase you as someone who epitomizes what I feel to be a brave traveler. And it's not necessarily someone that achieves perfection, because it's hard to achieve perfection when you have a lack of information, to help your decision making. But you're someone that is conscious, and that you are aware, and that you there's a desire there to do right. And I think that's a really important thing there. So, what are the barriers that you face to being able to make the decisions that you would like to make in terms of responsibility and sustainability?
So I suppose it's knowing from a distance what the different places you want to visit are offering. So I know we've had this conversation before, and this is where I really valued your input, was when we were going to where were we going to? Malaysia, and we wanted to go to the elephant sanctuary. Now, there's a few elephant sanctuaries, but not like we spoke about. They're not all as ethical as what some of them would make out to be. And that's where I valued having somebody who knows about these things. We were able to have that discussion and weigh it up. Some of the other places I've read about, it's that knowing, actually, is it ethical? Is it not ethical? You read people's feedback on things like TripAdvisor, and although TripAdvisor might give them a rating, until you're actually there and actually seeing it in practice, it might not come across as what it seems. So I know a few places we've went, like there was lots of turtle tours available, but a lot of them were touching the turtles. Now, to me, to be ethical, you don't interfere with the wildlife. There's no feeding of them, there's no touching them. Whereas from the research I did, I knew the one that we went to, there was none of that at all. It was only the guides who were able to do that. And then again, like I say, from the elephant sanctuary, when we had that chat, again, there was no touching, but I read feedback on TripAdvisor with things like elephants are chained together. But then when you actually read about that, that's actually for educational purposes. So it's just educating yourself on actually, well, why are things the way they are in that country? Is there a reason behind it? And it's that knowing, well, is that because of something that I would classify as wrong, or is that because there's something actually educational and actually purposeful behind why they do those things?
And legal as well, because we had this conversation, didn't we, about mahouts and so this sort of was spurred on from a comment that I'd had actually from an ex-work colleague about, well, are you sure that they are handling this in an ethical way? Because why has that mahout got a hook? And then you do the research behind it and find that actually that Sri Lankan law states that, a mahout has to have the hook. If they were using it, it would be a different story, So it's sort of digging beneath the surface. I think you've hit on something important there, that being curious, being information seeking. It's difficult because we make our decisions only based on the information that is available to us. And if we are relying upon TripAdvisor reviews that are written by people who have the same level of information and insight as ourselves, we're all flying a little bit blind with some of these things. Is that the best place to make your decision on, or is it the local knowledge of the local guide that would be best place? I think you got that totally on point there. Express your views, your needs, your desires, that you want to visit an ethical wildlife sort of, oh, I was trying to think of the right word. I'm full of cold and my brain's not working properly at the moment. But you know, an ethically behaving business, then you know that you sort of express what you want, and if there's that trust that's been established with the guide as well, you sort of stand a better chance. But there's definitely something that the industry can do. You know, that we have the certification schemes. Certification schemes, I think, only go so far. You know, at the world travel market. You know, I was listening to a lot of talks about the value of certification schemes, and there's a big part of the industry that actually misses out on being able to get certified because it costs such a lot of money. So there's a lot of people doing really good things, but they're just not recognized and certified as doing them because of the limitations of certification as a, you know, as a process. So it's a really hard thing. And again, it's definitely a challenge that the industry needs to, you know, acknowledge and respond to. So I'm mindful of time, and we did, you know, these episodes are really only supposed to be about 10 minutes, but I could talk to you all day about like your amazing travel experiences. But, you know, could you maybe call to mind perhaps one of your, because this sort of, we talk about travel for enrichment, travel for enlightenment. And I think in the type of travel that you engage with in your family really is the type of travel that is impactful for you personally. It's conscious, it's sensitive to the environments, to the communities. But what experience can you call to mind that was enlightening for you or for maybe one of your children, where you thought, that's why we do this?
I suppose the latest one would probably be, we went to, hopefully I'm naming it right, I think the Mari Mari Cultural Village.
Mm-hmm.
In Malaysia, and that was where we got to see the longhouses on stilts. We got to see how people in Malaysia live. We got to go into the houses, we got to see the farming processes, and just for Jack and Emily to experience how other people, other families live was great. They had, in the middle of these longhouses, they actually had a trampoline. And for them to realise that actually that is how the children in these villages, it wasn't safe for them to be outside with the rains. So they had trampolines built inside these houses, and they all got to have a go on this trampoline. I'm making it sound odd, but if you look at them, it was really good. And then after that, there was a little bit of a performance where they showed us the cultural dances. And with Jack being autistic, straight away, without even being asked, he was up on the stage and joining in. He wanted to join in. He wanted to learn their dances, and he did it. And to be able to experience just how other people live in a completely different climate, completely different environment, for them to see that and to actually get along and play with other children who live that life, it was just lovely to see how it doesn't matter where you come from.
No, or what you've got.
Exactly.
Human connection. I think that's the thing that gives you goosebumps, isn't it? It's like, especially as a parent, I think to see your children connecting with children that may have a vastly different background, but we are all human beings, you know, and that's the beauty of travel, really, in fostering cross-cultural understanding, building empathy. And that's that really,
and just trying the food, especially for Jack. The noodles. He was straight in there. So for them just to try that, and
more confident trying things when he comes home as well. It's amazing.
Well, that was it. We went into Nottingham the other week, and he actually picked a Vietnamese restaurant to try.
Lovely.
And that's what and he chose. It was another noodle dish, but actually that broadened his horizons. So eating out now isn't an issue. He's keen to try different things now because of all the different meals that he's had in the different places we visited. So that's opened up that for him as well.
You're giving them such a gift, Kirst. You really are. You know, what would your top tips, just to sort of, I guess, bring it to a close, what would your top tips be to other families that, you know, have a desire to do things like this, but maybe don't feel brave enough, or they have concerns about doing so? What would you say to them?
Just do it. Life's too short. The world's a big place, and if anything does tend to go wrong, like something's double booked, there's things that are easy fixed. There's nothing, touch wood, that has gone or will go catastrophically wrong that you can't fix.
Yeah, yeah,
It's just trusting that even with a little bit of planning, as long as you've got, like for me personally, I wouldn't go and not have my start and my end hotels booked.
yeah, yeah,
Apart from this time, but that's because I'm getting a bit more used to it.
yeah, yeah,
But you don't have to go with just the flights. You can have bits and pieces booked. You can have it all
mm,
booked before you go.
yeah. Depending
It's
on
not
your level of
something to worry
confidence.
about. Yeah,
Yeah.
just do it as you go along, and as you get more confident, you can go with the flow a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And don't be afraid to just take time just to be,
Mm-hmm.
just to not have that. I think that's what I wish we did more of on the last holiday, was just having time to just be and soak it in, and not
Mm-hmm.
jumping from things to things to try and fit it all in. If you
Yeah,
can't fit it all in, that's fine. Just experience what
yeah.
it's like while you're there. You don't have to be busy every minute of every day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just enjoy where you are.
Yeah. That's amazing advice. And I think that actually can be some of the most powerful elements of a trip, you know, just walking around and soaking up
Mm.
the atmosphere, just, you know,
Just get lost where you
immersing
are.
immersing in everyday life.
Yeah,
And that everyday life, I think, is the things that the kids value so much. I'm just
yeah,
thinking of my son, you know, when we went to India in the summer, and what his well, pains me to say it. What he said his best bit was, well, he's got two best bits. One was going into a gaming center in Mumbai, because it shows young people game in
yeah.
Mumbai, you
You're
know.
alive.
The other thing was watching a cricket match, and
Lovely.
and he caught the ball. And it's so simple, just so simple. It's just experiencing everyday life in that flying a kite when we were in Sri Lanka, flying a kite and learning about the art and the practice of kite flying. And this young boy who they couldn't communicate by language, by spoken language, but for the life of me, I couldn't fix this kite together or get it to go up into the air. But this little boy about the same age as him came, and without being able to verbally communicate, he got the kite flying. And that's the thing, I think, that brings tears to your eyes, doesn't it, really? Well, it does me, because I'm a
Yeah, no, yeah,
soft
yeah.
kid. Well, we could go on for hours and hours, but I just want to really sincerely thank you just for sharing your experiences, Kirsty, because, you know, this, I do always hold you up as a shining example of, you know, someone that really, you know, makes it work, you know, really harnesses the potential benefits of travel for you, for your family. You're someone who is brave when she travels. You're not afraid to do things differently. You're conscious of the benefits of travel. You know, we don't always know the answers to the questions that we might want to know, but that's, you know, that's a challenge for the industry. That's a call to the industry to make those decision-making processes, you know, easier and simpler. I hope you have the most amazing time in Costa Rica, and thank you once again. So I hope you've enjoyed that, folks, and until next week, travel bravely, travel kindly, and you know, just jump right in. Or if you don't feel that you've got the time and maybe the know-how to do it, you know, lean on somebody that can help you organize those travel logistics. Take good care and look after yourselves.